And welcome back to the show. Confront Art is connecting artists to social justice causes to create public art displays. Now, they recently announced its inaugural exhibition, SEEINJUSTICE, which debuted open to the public on October the 1st in Union Square. The SEEINJUSTICE series aims to honor the lives and ongoing messages through art, tying together three iconic people. And joining us now to discuss more is the spokesperson, I should say, of We Are Floyd, and that is LaCrown Johnson. And then we've also got artist Chris Carnabuci. And thank you both for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having
us. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. LaCrown, I'll start with you. Really, this initiative is doing something in promoting seeing injustice, but then also raising an awareness. Talk to us a little bit about your work.
Well, as far as with We Are Floyd is a 501c3, and it was created by the brother of George Floyd, Terrence Floyd, on the foundation of family, as well as culture, understanding, truth, love, and unity. With those factors being said, partnering with the SEEINJUSTICE project, we're able to really put and promote that actual social change that happens every day unfairly to a lot of different communities, not just the African American community. So our goal with We Are Floyd is to really help those communities that are dealing with those social injustices and giving them the tools that they need to get those changes done.
Yeah. And so, Chris, you have designed 3 sculptures of 3 iconic people, and talk to us about the sculptures that you designed and your work.
Sure. So as you mentioned, it's George Floyd, John Lewis, and Breonna Taylor. This all started back last summer, of course, when George Floyd was killed and the world sort of stood still. And I remember sitting with my wife, and she turned to me and she said, "You need to do a sculpture." And I said, yeah, it was, not for any particular reason, but to sort of capture this very historic and significant moment. So I was able to reach out to another artist, Daniel Edwards, and he and his son Rodman had already done a 3D model. So that's my first step, is taking the 3D model and essentially deconstructing it. And to that extent, I could make it as large as I want. So just to fast forward, we eventually met up with Terrence Floyd. He saw the sculpture of George Floyd and was very moved by it. And he thought that since he was setting up We Are Floyd, that having the art in conjunction with this foundation would be a good method to sort of bring awareness to it. And that's how it all began.
Yeah. And talk to us, because we had, as I talked a little bit about the inaugural exhibition, which debuted on October the 1st, LaCrown, obviously an opportunity for people to see. What were you hoping was going to be the takeaway?
Well, we wanted people to see, and I know this in working day to day with We Are Floyd, along with Confront Art, that these 3 statues, they're a form of representation of all the social injustices that happened prior to the actual people's lives of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, who were featured prior to their lives, but also to protect those lives in the future and stop stuff like this from happening. These statues, along with John Lewis being a person who stood in the gap and stood in the fight as a congressman, these statues are to help promote that social change through art. You can use art as leverage. You can use art to get the justice that's needed by putting it in front of you, simply as Confront Art says, confronting it. So yeah, that's definitely something that we were hoping for, and it's happening.
It is happening, but also I got to talk about what also happened as well, and that's the vandalization of the George Floyd statue. A lot of people enraged by the fact, when we talk about injustice already, his death, a huge injustice and a murder, first of all, but then now to watch and to see the vandalized statue. Just give me your thoughts and your takeaway, both of you, as you're out here doing this work, but yet and still you understand that the forces of evil are still present.
Well, I don't think any one of us was really shocked at this vandalization. Maybe we were surprised that it happened so soon after the opening, But listen, there's a diversity of opinion on George Floyd. And I just thought, there's a better way of expressing one's opinion than to vandalize an object. And essentially what it did was amplify our message that, we got a long way to go. Art is, it's sort of a tool for introspection, right? So we can look within ourselves and find meaning to what we're looking at. But it's also, and especially with this exhibit, it's an opportunity to gather and share each other's opinions and have discussions and civil discourse. And I think that as an artist, that's my job, is to put forth a venue, an environment for this type of discourse. And I think it's working out.
Mm-hmm. I would have to say, getting that call that morning that had happened, it was disheartening. Like you said, Chris, it wasn't something that we were surprised at, but it was unfortunate that it did have to happen. And it took an individual to have so much, I'll have to use the word hate in their heart to do something like that, specifically to the George Floyd statue. In speaking with Terrence, he wasn't surprised. He was more so, he just wanted to understand what that perspective of that individual had in their mind. Why did they hate his brother so much that they felt the need to signal him out? What was their reasoning for doing something like this? It happened in Flatbush, as mentioned before with Chris. It happened in Flatbush, so we weren't confused, or we were prepared to have to do something with it. But as soon as we arrived on site, it was the community who stepped in. The community of New York. And I'm talking about not just immediate Union Square. I'm talking about people came from different boroughs to help clean up the statue, to help fix what the person who thought they did something would take the statue away. They tried to break it down, but what it did was it only strengthened our movement. It really strengthened it. People started creating even more of a memorial around the statue. Like, people held rallies, people held their own personal events, we had a union of religion, a union of different cultures, a union of different orientations. So it only strengthened that unity. And it really did go to show that these statues are going to help promote that healing that we want to promote, not just here in New York, but hopefully around the world. Last year, so
yeah, no, I was just going to jump in and say there's an old saying in the book that I read: what is meant for evil, God works out for good. So, it has
Absolutely.
a greater impact simply by the fact of, you thought you were doing something negative, but here it is. You've really now regalvanized a community, and not just a community, you've regalvanized across parts of the world, because this wasn't something that was just local. Everybody heard about this cross country.
Yes, it did. Cross country, and actually globally.
Yeah, I actually did it. I'm sorry. I actually I was on the Times of London radio show right after this occurred. So it is global. And sorry to interrupt, LaCrown. I just wanted to add, just to sort of emphasize the fact that it did amplify the message. And, I was wondering, when this person did this, whether he felt instant regret as he skateboarded away with paint on his fingertips, or whether he was proud of what he did. And, he certainly couldn't tell anybody about it. It's not the type of thing you post on Facebook. But
right.
I'm wondering about him. I'm wondering what was, as you said, what was in his heart, because it appears that there was hatred. And I'd like to have a conversation with him about it, really.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that, and you touched on this. I think talk about having conversation, right? Because those are the icebreakers. Those are the ways that we can really create partnerships. Those are the ways that we can respect people's differences. It really starts with having conversation and being able to talk to people and hash out, what is it that you really feel? This is what you think. This is what you believe. And so I'm leaning, and I'm trying to transition to We Are Floyd, because I know that's part of what the work is. It's about really, addressing, but it's also creating dialogue. And what we do right here, like, we're engaging through dialogue and conversation. So, LaCrown, just share with us a little bit more about We Are Floyd, and I don't want you to not forget about the partnership with Confront Art too.
Right. So We Are Floyd, our objectives are first to understand culture, because when you understand culture, which is really what people's differences are, then it can help to promote change, which will eventually lead to justice. And with those principles, we believe that we can help a lot of different communities. Our goal is to work with different companies like Confront Art, other organizations that are already established, like Eric Gardner Foundation, and we work with a few more, and we're still building and growing collectively to help promote, to get these and promote change. So it's a step-by-step process. We are literally 9 months in to having this foundation, and through the partnership with Confront Art with the SEEINJUSTICE project, we are able to now provide more of a platform for those voices that need to be heard. And our goal is to literally go into other places that need that healing, that need those changes, that need those conversations. And we figured out one of the biggest things, it starts with the youth. The youth. We actually created a school trip to the SEEINJUSTICE art exhibition with Terrence's elementary school, PS 213. And the students, they were in 2nd and 4th grade. When I tell you, these kids, and I'm gonna have to use the term woke, these kids are woke. They're aware of what's going on. They're aware of the social injustices that they have to face daily. And these statues, they're allowing for those conversations to happen, not only to the teachers, to the students, but to the parents, to the students. Terrence, he teaches his children, and I see him every day with his kids. They're the foundation of this organization. His family is the foundation of this organization. He teaches them these principles, and he teaches them to understand and respect individuality. When you do that, you can create change. It may not happen in large steps, but small steps. And these statues have created a bigger step than where we were just a few months ago.
Yeah, and Chris, for one, as being the one that's responsible for putting the statue together, you have an opportunity for people to actually see your work. But could you just share with us from your perspective, what the power of a statue is, and more particularly these statues?
Well, as I said, I mean, as a sculptor, my only job is to produce work that creates an environment for others to react to. It's not about me imposing my thoughts on anyone, but it's to create that environment, as I mentioned before, for civil discourse. But even though these are sculptures that I did, and of course I had the help of the Edwards initially, this is all about, it was always been only about helping out Terrence and We Are Floyd, and at a higher level, the sort of raising awareness of injustice. But that was my intention, is to do what I can, to do my small part to aid the different foundations with which we're affiliated. And I think LaCrown said it perfectly when she discussed what's going on with the foundations and what their intentions are, what their goals are. And I'm just happy to help.
Yeah, LaCrown, how can people partner? Thank you, Chris. Yes, I do want to say that too. How can people partner to really be a part of the work that's going on with We Are Floyd? I mean, obviously, there's so many people who have an attachment to George Floyd, and not just Floyd, but George Floyd, but his family and the work that goes on, and what George Floyd represented and continues to represent. How can people play a part in supporting?
Well, definitely be on the lookout on our social media page, We Are Floyd.org, as social media runs the world nowadays. However, of course, our website, www.wearefloyd.org. Feel free to contact us. It will be an immediate response, and we can take it from there. We're welcome and open to all different types of ideas. the best part is working with Confront Art is that we are able to utilize art as a form or a platform to get these type of changes in the works. But we're open up to other artists and other ideas. Talk to us, come to us. Let's collectively make something happen.
Right. And Chris, how do people get connected to your work and find out more about you?
I'm fine-tuning my chriscarnabuci.com website. And that's, I obviously have Instagram, Chris Carnabuci, where I do some posting. Not a lot, but I do some. This is actually the third.
I like the way how you did it, some, right.
I let other people do posting for me. But this is actually my third public exhibit. So I have pics from the other two. But this is, of course, to me, the most important. And I'm proud to be working hand in hand with the We Are Floyd Foundation, once again, doing what I can.
Yeah. Well, LaCrown and Chris, I'm definitely honored to have you guys here on the show. And I want to thank you for the work that you're doing and really continue to create public awareness. And as I tell people all the time that, that George Floyd extends so much far beyond the criminal court case. It's really everyday life and the work that people must do to impact social change and world change is an everyday thing. So I applaud you for the part that you guys are playing and what you're doing. And most of all, for taking the time to hang out with me for a little while and just share on the show. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I would like to announce one other thing.
Absolutely.
Super excited. So in honor of George Floyd's birthday, his 48th birthday that just passed on October 14th, we want to announce, We Are Floyd, announce the George Floyd NFT collection on Maker's Place. And what's amazing about this is that this is an opportunity for people's eyes to just be wide open to the social injustice, but also to help promote money for a charity. So super excited. This is going to be a platform for people to become more socially aware, more involved, and more hands-on through an NFT collection on Maker's Place.
Well, that's outstanding and amazing news. I want to thank you for breaking the news for us and letting us know. We will continue to follow all the great work that you guys are doing at We Are Floyd, and certainly anything that we can do here at the Social Justice Forums, by which this show was actually created after the death of George Floyd. We're glad that we could be a part. So thank you so much for being with us both.